There is a gap. There is a gap. There are some gaps that cause struggle and pain for humans. There are gaps of talk and of discourse and of interpersonal relations. Let's consider what the landscape of discourse appears to be these days. Let's suppose that at one pole of the range of possible discourses, it's of course an oversimplification, but humor me, please. We have something like gesture. Gesture, maybe I can even pull something out. How about Leroy Gourhan? Gesture and speech. Andre Leroy Gourhan. Now, this guy, he's like, if Simondon is not esoteric enough for you, then you're going to get into Gourhan. Now, pardon my pronunciation. This probably is due to Stiegler. All these guys. Stiegler's work, Techniques and Time, volumes 1 through 3. That's 3. Okay, so Simondon and Stiegler. So we have at the one pole there is gesture, and the other pole, let's say there is logic. So the dyad is gesture and logic. I'm just thinking, what the scheme of oratory involves. There was one joke on, I think it was Saturday Night Live, about some podcast it's only one dude, right? So solipsism, soliloquy, right? Well, pardon me if I will excuse myself from fault on this point. On the side of gesture is what is loosely understood as memoir or autobiography, although I don't think that we actually have a good name for the category, because memoir doesn't work, autobiography doesn't work, and there are technical ways of designating it, but none feel intuitive, such as I can say, analytical day-say phenomenology. Analytical day-say phenomenology. Okay? Now, couldn't I have just said subjectivity or art or gesture? And for some purposes and contexts, it would work. But my concerns always, I think just about always, have to do with discourse. My concerns have to do with the ethos of discourse, the morality of the words that we use, and the morality involved in the way that we choose words when we speak them in real time, such as what I'm doing right now. Now, if a verbal oratorial presentation or a presentation in writing, a textual presentation, is not either attempting to be first principles discourse, aka science, pure science, or the regulative approximation of the ideal of pure science, right? So that's allowed, but we don't do it because it's dry, tedious, and it goes nowhere. And that's basically the job of professionals. Professional nerds. Certainly autobiography, aka memoir, aka, paroxysmatic spilling your guts. That'll get you a certain amount of leeway, depending on your skills of charlatanism. Sorry, I mean charisma. And But, emoting paroxysms and subjectivity and affectivity and feelings and all that is to be looked down upon by, from the perspective of serious academic rigor. And after all, these political times that we have on our hands requires a fairly high standard of rigor. A fairly high standard of rigor is required to oppose Donald Trump. A fairly high standard of rigor is required. And if we suppose that most of an individual's, we could item these hypotheses or presuppositions. If we suppose that an individual knows a lot, any individual, right? Any individual who knows a lot. Most individuals know a lot. I guarantee you, we know a lot as humans. It's kind of mostly a question of how much you value the knowledge, how much you value not the knowledge itself, not the particular facts or data or evidence, but your own personal ethos related to knowledge. your ethos of epistemology, as it were. Or there's probably all sorts of what? Doxus, deontic, and axiological. Axiological, that's good. Axiology, an account of value. An account of value. An account of value. So what you know as an individual consists of a fuck ton of evidence and most likely some very weakly formulated theories in this sense. My own theories are one and all weakly formulated. And I am a 100% full-time formulator. So, therefore, I would posit that in the ordinary scheme of everyday thinking, what counts as knowledge, by and large, 99% of the so-called they say analytic phenomenology of whoever that individual is, and all the richness of their unique experience and all the descriptions that they themselves might come up with, right? To describe that unique experience. I mean, it is a very significant thing, right? Not only is the experience unique and singular, but the individual then has the sole privilege, if not prerogative, to use their own words to describe the darn thing. And the only reason that they might not do it is if the culture did not encourage them to. And I will further posit that if the courage does not culture them to, thus and so behave, if the courage does not culture them to, or the culture does not courage them to be inquisitive and ask questions and so on and cultivate their minds, then how will any of such knowledge ever be symbolized, represented in a sustained way? Nobody ever thinks to do it because it's just my stupid, invisible, ordinary life. My tiny little stupid life. But if you consider the magnitude of knowledge, that life, your stupid little individual life, over which only you have dominion, it's a silly word, only to which you have access. Only you have access to your own life, epistemologically or intuitively, experientially, empirically, or anything else. You know, the position of the they say first-person subjectivity is alive and well as a research program that has yet almost even to be begun. And now is the opportunity, us card-carrying defenders of the U.S. Constitution, now it is our job to delve deeply and plumb the depths and drill into the core of first-person individual human subjectivity, and to start taking seriously the knowledge that every individual has about their own life, the objective knowledge that individual has about their own life. That is not a regime of knowledge. That is not a discourse of knowledge. It is a set of singular discourses comprised of individual humans. And if you think you know your parent marginally well, and then you consider for a second the hypothesis that you don't know your parent at all, maybe you know your parent 5%, because your parent actually doesn't tell you anything about their life, right? And that is the person you're most close with, your parent. Let's suppose the person that you're most close with is your parent, a parent, or your parents, right? And you don't know anything about them. Why is that? You don't want to know about their life? Of course you do. You want to know everything about their life because it's your goddamn life. But as a culture, we don't value the knowledge, so nobody asks. And if somebody does ask, it will be considered rude. But I am telling you now, I insist, I am pounding the table. The entire goddamn thing with the fucking epistemic crisis that we are deeper and deeper in has everything to do with the fact that our culture marginalizes first-person subjective experience. I don't mean a sentence. I don't mean an anecdote. I mean the full goddamn thing as a system of thinking, the whole monolithic block of a person's life from start to finish, as much as that person is possibly able to organize. That is a frontier and a horizon of science that has yet even to be indicated. I'm indicating it now. I don't mean to give myself credit. Nobody talks about it except who? Gottfried Plouquet.